She carried his family's burdens like they were her own. She washed, she cooked, she endured, believing love would reward her patience. For 7 years, Marama waited while Joseph chased success abroad. But when he finally returned with money and pride, he didn't return with a ring for her. He returned with a wedding invitation to marry the one person Marama trusted most, her best friend. And what happened after that wedding shook the whole village. Before we continue, if you're new to this channel, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Marama loved Joseph with a heart that knew no limits. In the small village of Kono, where people measured love by actions and not just words, Marama was known as the kind of girl whose loyalty could move mountains. She was not the loudest in the village, nor the richest, but her heart was deep like the river that never ran dry. When Joseph was poor, she stayed. When other girls laughed at him because he wore the same sandals every day, Marama held his hand proudly. When people said, "That boy has nothing," she replied softly, "But he has a good heart." Joseph came from a struggling family. His father had died early, leaving his mother with many burdens. Their house was small, their roof leaked when rain fell, and some days they ate only once. Still, Joseph had dreams. He would sit under the mango tree and tell Marama, "One day I will travel. I will work hard. I will become something. And when I do, you will be my wife." Marama would smile with shining eyes. "I believe you," she always said. She believed him so much that she didn't just love him with words. She loved him with sacrifice. When Joseph's mother fell sick one season, Marama was the one who came early to sweep the compound, boil herbs and cook soup. When Joseph's younger siblings needed help with school, Marama taught them patiently at night. People began to whisper, "That girl is already acting like a wife." And Marama didn't deny it. She wanted Joseph's family to know she was serious. So when Joseph asked her one evening, "Marama, will you move into my mother's house? I want her to see that you are part of us," Marama agreed without hesitation. That was the beginning of her waiting. Living in Joseph's family house was not romance. It was not sweet. It was work. Every morning before the sun rose, Marama would wake up to the sound of roosters and the cold air of dawn. She would tie her wrapper firmly and carry empty buckets to the well. The well was far. The buckets were heavy. But she never complained. She fetched water until her neck ached from balancing the load. Then she returned to wash clothes. Not one or two. Joseph's mother's wrappers. His siblings' uniforms. Bedsheets. Towels. Marama scrubbed until her fingers became sore and her nails cracked. Sometimes the soap burned her skin, but she continued. After washing, she cooked. Not with gas. With firewood. The smoke entered her eyes until tears flowed like she was crying, but it was only smoke. The heat from the fire mixed with the hot village sun until her whole body was soaked with sweat. Yet Joseph's mother rarely praised her. Instead, she found faults. "This soup is too salty. You didn't wash this cloth well. Why are you slow like a tired goat?" Marama would bow her head. "I'm sorry, Mama." And she would do it again. 'Cause she loved Joseph. Because she believed love required endurance. At night, when her body was tired and her back felt like it would break, she would sit alone outside, staring at the moon, imagining Joseph's face. Sometimes Joseph would sit beside her and whisper, "Thank you for everything, Marama. I will never forget you." Those words were enough to keep her going. Then one day, destiny knocked. A traveling opportunity came. A man from the city had announced that one young person from the village could go abroad to work. Pay was good. Chance was rare. Whoever went could change their life forever. Marama's uncle, who had connections, arranged the opportunity for her. When she heard it, her heart jumped. This was her escape. This was her miracle. She ran to Joseph, excitement in her voice. "Joseph, my uncle says I can travel abroad. I can work and send money home." But Joseph's face changed. His smile faded. His eyes filled with something heavy. That night Marama couldn't sleep. She turned on her mat, thinking deeply. If she traveled, Joseph would remain behind, struggling. If she traveled, would he still wait? Her heart battled with her dreams. By morning she made her decision. She found Joseph under the mango tree. He looked tired. Marama sat beside him and took his hands. "Joseph," she said softly, "you should take the opportunity." Joseph blinked in shock. "What?" Marama nodded firmly. "You should go abroad. Build yourself. Build our future." Joseph's voice trembled. "But Marama, it was given to you." Marama smiled sadly. "I know. But you are the man I want to marry. I want you to rise. I want you to come back strong." Joseph shook his head. "It might take years." Marama squeezed his hands. "Then I will wait." Joseph stared at her like he couldn't believe such love existed. "You will wait for me." Marama's eyes shone with faith. 7 years if I must." Joseph pulled her into his arms tightly. "You are too good for this world," he whispered. Marama closed her eyes. "Just don't forget me," Joseph promised. "When I return, you will be my wife." And Marama believed him. A week later, the village gathered to send Joseph off. Women sang farewell songs. His mother cried loudly. Joseph hugged Marama for a long time. "I will come back for you," he whispered. Marama nodded, forcing a smile through tears. "Go. I will be here." And then, Joseph left. The road swallowed him. The bus disappeared. And Marama stood there, waving until she could no longer see him. She didn't know that the waiting she had chosen would become the greatest test of her life. And the love she trusted would soon be challenged by betrayal. But for now, she only whispered into the wind, "I will wait." Years passed. At first, Marama counted the days with excitement. 1 month, 2 months, 1 year. She told herself, "Joseph is working hard. Soon he will return." But soon became slow, and slow became long. Still Marama waited. She waited with patience that only true love could produce. She remained in Joseph's family compound, enduring the harshness of his mother, carrying water, washing clothes, cooking meals, and living like someone who had already married into suffering. Every morning she rose before sunrise. Every night she lay down with aching bones. But she never complained, because hope was her pillow. Sometimes Joseph called. His voice would come through the phone like a distant song. "My love, how are you?" Marama would smile even when her eyes were tired. "I'm fine, Joseph. Don't worry about me." She lied. Not because she wanted to deceive him, but because she didn't want to burden him. She wanted him to focus. She wanted him to succeed. She wanted him to come back as the man he dreamed of becoming. And in all those years, only one person visited her often. Her childhood best friend. Bintu and Morama had grown up like sisters. They played together under mango trees, fetched water together, laughed together, cried together. When Marama's father died, Bintu held her hand at the burial. When Bintu fell sick as a child, Marama stayed beside her mat until she recovered. They shared secrets. They shared dreams. They shared everything. So when Joseph traveled abroad, Bintu was the one person Marama trusted completely. First, Bintu seemed supportive. She would enter the compound with a smile and say, "My friend, don't worry. Joseph will come back." She would help Marama fold clothes. She would sit beside her while she cooked. She would even defend her sometimes when Joseph's mother complained too much. "Leave her alone, Mama," Bintu would say. "Marama is trying." Marama felt grateful. "Thank you, Bintu. I don't know what I would do without you." Bintu would laugh. "We are sisters, aren't we?" And Marama believed her. But hearts are mysterious things. Sometimes the people closest to you carry storms inside them. As the years went on, Bintu's visits continued. But something began to change. First it was small. Marama would notice how Bintu stared whenever Joseph's name was mentioned, or how her smile became thinner whenever Marama spoke about the future. One day, Marama was happily telling her, Joseph said he will soon send money for our wedding preparations. Bintu's eyes flickered. Then she forced a laugh. That's good. But her voice didn't sound happy. Marama didn't notice. Because Marama's heart was too pure to imagine jealousy. But jealousy was growing inside Bintu like a silent weed. A weed that no one watered. Yet it still spread. Bintu began to feel something she didn't understand. Why was Marama the one chosen for love? Why was Marama the one waiting for a man abroad? Why was Marama the one destined for a better life? And she was still in the village. Still ordinary. Still unnoticed. Sometimes at night, Bintu lay on her mat staring at the ceiling, whispering bitter thoughts. I am also beautiful. I am also loyal. Why not me? And then one evening, everything changed. Bintu was scrolling through her phone, using a social media app that her cousin in the city had installed for her. She wasn't looking for trouble. At least, that's what she told herself. But then she saw a picture. Familiar face. Joseph. She sat up quickly. Her heart beat fast. Joseph looked different. He was no longer the village boy with worn sandals. He looked healthy, well-fed, successful. His skin glowed. He wore a suit. Behind him were tall buildings and bright city lights. Bintu stared at the screen for a long time. Something twisted inside her stomach. This is Joseph, she whispered. And without thinking too deeply, she sent him a friend request. A few minutes later, accepted. Bintu's breath caught. Joseph messaged first. Bintu. Is that you? Wow, it's been so long. Bintu smiled. Yes, it's me. They began chatting. First it was innocent. How is the village? How is my mother? How is Marama? Joseph asked that name casually. But Bintu's fingers paused. Marama. Her friend. The loyal one. The one waiting. Bintu replied quickly. She's fine. But after that day the chatting didn't stop. Joseph messaged often. Bintu replied often. Soon they were talking every day. Bintu began sending pictures. Joseph began laughing at her jokes. He began telling her about his life abroad. Bintu felt something dangerous. Attention. She had never been the one a man abroad spoke to with excitement. She had never been the one someone missed. Slowly, her jealousy turned into desire. And desire turned into a plan. One night Bintu typed, Joseph, I don't know if I should tell you something. Joseph replied instantly. What is it? Bintu hesitated. Then she planted the first seed of poison. It's about Morama. Joseph's heart jumped. What about her? Bintu took a deep breath. And then she lied. Terrible lies. Joseph, since you left, Marama has changed. Joseph frowned. Changed how? Bintu continued. She goes out at night. She dances with men. She drinks. People are talking. Joseph's fingers trembled. No, that can't be true. Bintu added more poison. I didn't want to tell you, but I care about you. I don't want you to be fooled. Joseph felt anger rising. Bintu's lies sounded convincing because she was close. Because she was trusted. Because she was Marama's best friend. Joseph didn't call Marama to ask. He didn't question the story. He didn't think, Marama is in my mother's house every day. He only believed. And in that moment, Marama's world began to break. Even though she didn't know it yet. Because betrayal is always silent at first. It doesn't knock loudly. It enters like a whisper. And destroys everything slowly. One evening Joseph finally called. Had been weeks. Marama had been checking her phone every day. Hoping to see his name light up the screen. Each night she slept with the phone beside her pillow. As if keeping it close would bring him closer too. That day had been especially hard. Joseph's mother had shouted at her from morning till afternoon. Marama. Where is my food? Marama. Why are my clothes still wet? Marama. Are you sleeping in this house? Marama had worked until her back felt like it would snap. Her hands were raw from washing. Smoke from the firewood had made her eyes sting all day. But she endured, because love was waiting at the end. Or so she believed. That evening, when the compound finally became quiet, Marama sat outside under the moonlight. The night breeze touched her face softly, cooling her sweat. She whispered to herself, "Joseph, please call me." And then, her phone rang. Her heart jumped so hard she almost dropped it. Joseph. His name flashed on the screen like a miracle. Marama's face lit up instantly. Her tiredness disappeared. She answered quickly, her voice full of joy. "My love. Joseph. I miss you so much." For a second there was silence. Marama smiled, expecting him to laugh, to tease her, to say he missed her too. But when Joseph finally spoke, his voice was not the voice she remembered. It was cold, hard, like a door shutting. "I know everything," he said. Marama blinked, confused. "Everything," she repeated softly. "Joseph, what do you mean?" Joseph's breath sounded sharp through the phone. "Stop pretending," he snapped. Marama sat up straighter, her heart suddenly uneasy. "Pretending? Joseph, I don't understand." "I know what you've been doing," Joseph continued, anger rising. "I know about the men, the nights out, the disgrace." Marama froze. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Men, nights out, disgrace. Her mind spun. "Joseph," she whispered, trembling. "What are you talking about? I haven't gone anywhere. I've been here, in your mother's house. I wash, I cook, I..." "Lies!" Joseph shouted. Marama flinched as if he had slapped her through the phone. Joseph had never shouted at her before. Never. "Joseph, please," she begged. "Who told you these things? It's not true. I swear to God it's not true." Joseph's voice became even colder. "I'm done with you, Marama." Marama's whole body went numb. "Done," she whispered. "Joseph, what are you saying?" "You heard me," he snapped. "Don't call me again. Don't message me again. We are finished." Marama's eyes filled with tears instantly. "No, Joseph, please listen to me. Please. I don't know what is happening, but..." Blick. The call ended. Marama stared at the phone. Her fingers shook. Her heart beat wildly like something was chasing it. She quickly called back. Once. 3 times. No answer. Then she tried again. A message appeared. "You cannot reach this number." Her breath caught. She tried to send a text. It didn't deliver. Block. Marama's lips trembled. "No," she whispered. She stood up suddenly, pacing like a wounded animal. "What did I do? What did I do?" Her tears began to fall uncontrollably. This couldn't be real. Joseph loved her. Joseph promised her. Joseph knew her heart. How could he believe such things? That night Marama did not sleep. She sat on the floor of her small room, hugging her knees, staring into darkness. Her mind replayed his voice again and again. "I'm done with you." She whispered prayers. "God, please. Touch his heart. Let him call back. Let him understand." But the morning came with no call. No apology. Only silence. 2 days later, the real destruction arrived. Joseph's mother entered Marama's room with a face like stone. She didn't greet. She didn't sit. She stood over Marama like a judge. "Pack your things," she said sharply. Marama blinked up at her, confused. "Mama." "Don't call me Mama," the woman hissed. "My son has told me everything." Marama's stomach dropped. "Told you what?" Joseph's mother pointed a trembling finger. "He said you have brought shame to this family." Marama's eyes widened in horror. "No, Mama, it's not true. Someone lied. I don't know what Joseph heard, but..." "Enough," the woman shouted. "My son said you are a disgrace. That you are not the girl he left behind." Marama stood up quickly, tears forming again. "Mama, I have been here every day. Ask anyone. I wash your clothes. Cook your food. I have not stepped out of this compound except to fetch water." Joseph's mother's face remained hard. "I don't care." Marama fell to her knees. Please. Please don't send me away. Joseph will come back and realize the truth. Please. But the woman's voice was cruel. Get out before I call people to drag you out. Marama's sobs filled the room. She packed her few belongings with shaking hands. Wrapper. Small bag. A worn pair of slippers. That was all she had after years of service. Outside, family members watched. Some laughed. Some whispered. Some looked at her with disgust as if she was dirty. Marama walked out slowly. The gate closed behind her with a loud bang. That sound felt like the end of her life. She walked home barefoot. Her body moved, but her soul felt left behind. People on the road stared. Some murmured. But Marama could not speak. She only cried silently. When she reached her mother's house, her mother rushed out. My daughter. What happened? Marama collapsed into her arms like a child. Mama, she sobbed. Joseph has left me. Her mother held her tightly, rocking her as if she was small again. Marama cried until her chest hurt. She cried for the 7 years. For the sacrifices. For the love she thought was forever. And somewhere not far away, Bintu sat in her room, staring at her phone. A slow smile spread across her lips, because her lie had worked. And while Marama's world shattered, Bintu smiled in secret. 6 months passed. 6 long months after Joseph's call shattered Marama's life. At first, Marama could not even stand without feeling weak. Some days she stayed inside, staring at the wall, replaying everything again and again. How could love turn into hatred overnight? How could 7 years of loyalty be erased by one lie? Her mother tried to comfort her. My daughter, eat something. Marama would shake her head. My heart has no appetite. She stopped going to the market. She stopped laughing. The village girls who once admired her began whispering behind her back. That's the one Joseph rejected. Maybe the rumors were true. Marama heard them, but she said nothing. Pain had made her quiet. Only her mother stood like a pillar beside her. My daughter, she would whisper at night, truth does not die forever. One day the truth will rise. But Marama didn't know how to believe again. Then one morning, everything changed. A loud shout burst through the village like wildfire. Joseph is back. Women screamed with excitement. Children ran barefoot through the dusty roads. Men gathered under trees, discussing loudly. Joseph has returned from abroad. Ah! The rich man is back. His wedding will shake the whole village. Marama froze when she heard. Her heart leapt violently, not with joy but with confusion. Joseph back. Her hands began to tremble. For a moment hope, dangerous hope, entered her chest. Maybe he discovered the truth. Maybe he missed her. Maybe he was coming to apologize. Maybe the nightmare was ending. Her mother looked at her carefully. Marama, don't let your heart rush. But Marama couldn't stop herself. She dressed quickly in her best wrapper, though it was old. She tied her scarf neatly, wiped her face, and ran toward Joseph's compound like someone chasing her last breath. The closer she got, the louder the celebration became. Drums were beating. Women were singing. The compound was decorated with white cloth and golden ribbons. Marama's heart pounded. He is really back. She reached the gate and stepped inside. Then she stopped. Her entire body froze. Her breath left her lungs. Standing in the middle of the compound was Bintu, her childhood best friend, her sister, the girl who once shared food with her under mango trees. But now, Bintu was dressed in white. A wedding gown. A veil covered her hair. Gold jewelry shone on her neck. She was smiling like a queen. Marama blinked hard. Her mind refused to accept what her eyes were seeing. This must be a mistake. She stepped forward slowly, her voice barely audible. Bintu. Bintu turned. Their eyes met. And instead of shame, Bintu smiled wider. As if she had been waiting for this moment. Oh, she said softly, pretending surprise. Marama. Marama's lips trembled. What is this? Bintu tilted her head. Can't you see? Marama's heart began to crack. Then a woman nearby laughed loudly. Marama, haven't you heard? Joseph is marrying Bintu. The words struck Marama like thunder. She stumbled backward. No, she whispered. No, that cannot be. Then Joseph appeared. Handsome. Wearing an expensive suit. He looked richer, fuller, like someone who had tasted success. The village cheered. Joseph! Welcome! But Joseph's eyes did not search for Marama. He did not look shocked to see her. He did not look guilty. He looked indifferent, as if she was a stranger. Marama's chest tightened painfully. She wanted to run to him. She wanted to scream. She wanted to ask, Joseph, why? But her voice died inside her throat. Bintu stepped forward and took Joseph's arm. Joseph smiled down at her. And Marama's world shattered again. The wedding began. The pastor stood at the front. Guests filled the compound. Music played. Food was served. People danced. But Marama stood at the back like a shadow. A ghost watching her own funeral. Her eyes stayed fixed on the altar. Fixed on Joseph. Fixed on Bintu. Every vow felt like a knife. Do you take this woman? Yes. Do you take this man? Yes. Marama's tears began to fall silently. No one noticed. The music was too loud. The celebration too bright. Her sorrow too invisible. She remembered everything. The clothes she washed. The meals she cooked. The nights she waited. The sacrifices. And now, another woman was wearing the dress that should have been hers. Not just another woman. Her best friend. Her sister. And when Joseph slid the ring onto Bintu's finger, the crowd clapped wildly. Marama's knees weakened. She held onto a wooden pole to keep from collapsing. Then the pastor announced, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Cheers exploded. Joseph kissed Bintu. The village screamed with joy. And Marama broke. Her tears poured freely now, but she made no sound. Because some heartbreak is too deep for noise. That night, Marama walked home slowly. The moon followed her like a witness. Her mother opened the door and gasped when she saw her daughter's face. My child! Marama fell onto the floor. He married her, she whispered. Her mother covered her mouth in pain. Marama's voice cracked like dry wood. My best friend. Mama, my sister. Her mother held her tightly. And Marama whispered into the darkness. God, please remember me. Outside, far away, an old village woman named Mama Sia sat under her hut's roof, listening to the wedding drums fade. She shook her head slowly. Her eyes were sharp with wisdom. She murmured to herself, a marriage built on betrayal will not stand. The wind carried her words into the night. And destiny began to move. 1 month after the wedding, the village was still talking. Joseph and Bintu had become the newest golden couple. Every day, Bintu walked through the market with her head high, wearing expensive wrappers Joseph brought from abroad. She smiled proudly, greeting people as if she had won the greatest prize in the world. She posted pictures online, showing off her new life. My husband is back. Blessed beyond measure. Some women admired her. Some whispered in secret. But deep inside, many villagers remembered Marama. They remembered the girl who washed clothes under the sun. The girl who cooked with firewood smoke. The girl who waited with patience. And they wondered, how could betrayal wear such a beautiful dress? Meanwhile, Marama stayed quiet. She did not fight. She did not insult. She did not curse. She only cried until her tears dried. Then she began to heal slowly, like a wound that refused to kill her. Her mother encouraged her every morning. My daughter, stand up. Marama would whisper. I don't know how. Her mother replied. You don't need to know how. Just stand. So Marama stood. She started going back to church. At first she sat at the back silent. She listened to songs about hope. She listened to sermons about restoration. Sometimes she cried quietly during prayer, but she kept returning. Because something inside her still believed God had not forgotten her. She also began working again. She started selling vegetables in the market. Tomatoes, onions, pepper. Small. Her hands that once washed another woman's clothes now worked for her own survival. People began noticing. Marama is strong. She didn't destroy herself. She is still standing. But destiny was already writing another chapter. While Joseph and Bintu were celebrating that night, karma arrived quietly. It was late. Joseph and Bintu were asleep in their new house, an expensive house Joseph rented with his abroad money. The air was calm. The village was silent. Then suddenly, Bintu woke up coughing. Her throat burned. She sat up quickly. Something smelled wrong. Smoke. Thick smoke. Her eyes widened in fear. "Joseph!" she screamed, shaking him violently. "Joseph, wake up!" Joseph opened his eyes slowly, irritated. "What is it?" But then he smelled it too. Smoke. He jumped up. The room was filling. Bintu began to panic. "Fire! Joseph, fire!" Joseph ran to the door and pulled it open. And his blood ran cold. Flames. The sitting room was already burning. The curtains were on fire. The roof crackled. The heat was fierce. "Run!" Joseph shouted. They rushed out barefoot, wearing only night clothes. Outside, neighbors heard the screams. "Fire! Fire!" People poured out with buckets of water. But the flames spread too fast. The house burned like it was made of dry paper. Joseph stood trembling, watching helplessly. Inside that house was everything. His money. His documents. His clothes. His pride. His future. All swallowed by fire. Bintu screamed and cried. "My jewelry! My wedding gifts!" But nothing could be saved. By morning, only ashes remained. Joseph fell to his knees. His hands shook. "My life!" People gathered around, whispering. "This is punishment. What goes around comes around." This marriage was built on betrayal. Bintu stood frozen, her face pale. And the worst part was still coming. Because after the fire, Joseph searched through the ruins. Among the ashes, something remained. Folder. Half-burnt. He opened it slowly. Inside were printed screenshots. Messages. Proof. Joseph's breath stopped. It was Bintu's conversations with him. Her lies. Her manipulation. Her poisonous words about Marama. Joseph's hands trembled violently. He turned slowly. Bintu saw his face and knew instantly. Her knees weakened. "Joseph!" Joseph's voice was broken. So it was true. Bintu burst into tears. I can explain." Joseph stood like a man waking from a nightmare. "You destroyed everything," he whispered. Bintu cried harder. "I wanted what she had. I was jealous. I didn't want to remain nothing while she became a wife abroad." Joseph staggered backward. "You made me throw away gold for dust." Bintu reached for him. "Please." But Joseph stepped away as if she was poison. That night, Bintu packed her bags and ran away. She couldn't bear the shame. She couldn't bear the suffering. The marriage that began with lies collapsed like a house without foundation. Joseph became nothing again. No house, no money, no abroad papers, no wife, only regret. He started driving a taxi for survival. The same village that once celebrated him now pitied him. Meanwhile, Marama's life was rising quietly. She continued going to church. She continued working. She continued rebuilding. And destiny noticed. One day, a kind businessman came to the village for a funeral. His name was Mr. Kamar. He was respected, wealthy, calm. At the funeral, his eyes fell on Marama. Not because she was dressed in gold, but because her eyes carried strength. Humility. He asked people about her. They told him everything. Her loyalty. Her suffering. Her betrayal. Mr. Kamar was moved. "This is a rare woman," he said softly. "A woman who endured pain without becoming wicked. A woman who remained pure even after heartbreak." He approached her family with honor. He spoke gently. He did not rush her. Marama was afraid at first. But Mr. Kamar was patient. He showed her respect. He showed her real love. And slowly, Marama's heart opened again. Months later, Marama married Mr. Kamar in a beautiful wedding. Not built on lies. Built on truth. She became a queen not by revenge, but by destiny. One afternoon, Marama passed through the village in a beautiful car, sitting peacefully in the back seat. Her face was calm. Her life was restored. Joseph saw the car. He recognized her instantly. Their eyes met for 1 second. Marama looked away gently, not in hatred but in closure. Joseph pulled his taxi to the side of the road. He lowered his head onto the steering wheel and whispered with tears in his eyes, "I lost gold because I believed lies." And the village learned. Kind hearts may suffer, but their reward always comes. If you watched this story to this end, please give this video a like. Let us know where you're watching from in the comments, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our next story. Until our next story,